Crash Bandicoot: The Huge Adventure, the first step that the Bandicoot's ever taken onto the Game Boy Advance. The plot's pretty basic. Dr. Cortex has shrunk the world down to a minuscule size, and it's up to Crash to collect the crystals so that his sister Coco can return it to its regular size. What I'm interested to know is, how does Crash's classic 3D gameplay port over to the Game Boy Advance? The gameplay is primarily in 2D, resembling the bonus stages from the previous games. You start off with the jump and his old spin dash attack. All of the 2D graphics resemble the old games and nothing feels out of place. Whether you're a Crash Bandicoot veteran or a brand new player, it will be all of 5 seconds before you're jumping your way through colourful enemies and locations. Your primary aim is simple, to make it from one side of the stage to the other and to collect the pink crystal at the other side. The bonus stages make a return, requiring you to be as skilled as before. Remember that hitting every single box will get you a gem as well as the main crystal in a level. Also, as per usual, if you collect all those gems, you'll be treated to an extra boss fight as well as the true ending. As mentioned, the game will feel immediately familiar to any Crash fan, with the same graphics, enemies, and even music of the old ones, and it's heavily styled after Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Seeing as many regard Crash Bandicoot 3 to be the last good Crash game, this comes as a relief. The game was made by Naughty Dogs themselves, which is probably why it feels like a genuine Crash, rather than a third-party cash-in. From the word go, you'll be treated to gameplay in a variety of locations and scenarios, such as underwater levels, Aztec-themed levels, and Ice Cavern. These are all staples of the Crash series, and I'm glad to see them return. The gameplay is more than varied enough to keep you interested. It even switches from its rudimentary linear 2D platformer style to more open-ended 3D levels such as this one. And yes, you do get to ride small animals again. The bosses do return, and they're all familiar faces such as Dingodile, Engine, Tiny, and of course Dr. Neo Cortex himself. All of them stay true to the tried and tested formula of a set pattern, which once read makes them easy to defeat. Every boss fight has its own special scenario or gameplay style, which is different to the usual 2D platforming, and while this does help to break up the action and make you pay more attention to the fights, you can't help but think that the game's trying to distract you somewhat. And I guess in a way it is, because every boss, once you look at it, is rather repetitive and rather simple, and it doesn't feel like there's been much effort put in. If you look at the bosses from the old Crash games, and then look at the ones in this, it's more or less a copy-paste job for a lot of them. While it is by no means a bad thing, it does take away from the experience a little. Defeating each boss affords you a power, the same as it did in Crash 3, such as being able to run faster or double jump. I'm glad they kept this in, as it affords for a lot of replay value. It enables you to go back to previous levels and access items and areas that you wouldn't have been able to before. On that point, once you complete a level, you can play it again on time trial mode to earn a relic. While making a player do every level twice is a rather cheap way of lengthening the game, at least it's something to do after you beat it. Seeing as this game is aimed primarily at children as well, it's unlikely that they're going to notice or mind. There are a few niggles and flaws in the game, however. For starters, a little one that did bug me was that the death animations are now gone. Previously, you got a new animation for each different kind of death you could expose Crash to. For example, being impaled, being blown up, and being run over all gave you different animations for death, each humorous and each different from the last. Now every single death is just the same angel animation, and it does matter because you're going to be seeing them a fair bit. Unfortunately, the game suffers from unfair death syndrome, and a lot of the time you'll be required to make leaps of faith. It'll be really frustrating as well, because it's commonly down to someone else's fault. A lot of the time it'll be awkward placement of boxes, such as the Unbreakable crates and the Nitro crates. At other times it'll be nothing more than the size of the Game Boy Advance's screen. There are several times I've not been able to see the next ledge to jump to. At other times, just poor and awkward level design, and now and then my own stupidity and clumsiness. It's not like extra lives aren't in plentiful supply, in fact they practically grow on trees. It's just annoying to have to start and stop the gameplay. Though I feel I've proved my point there, I still get this sinking feeling that I'm going to get mails from elitists saying that I just plain suck. To be fair to them, 90% of the game is extremely easy and fair. It's only now and then that these annoyances occur. But they will stop you dead in your tracks long enough to annoy you. On the note of the game being very easy despite its placement of unfair deaths now and then, it also has to be said that this game is perilously short. There are 20 levels and 4 bosses. You can collect the gems and go for 100% and do all the time trials if you really want, but it's optional, and not everyone's going to want to invest the time in completing levels they've already done once. Still, I applaud the fact that they've attempted to put as much replay value into this game as they did into the PlayStation 1 games. I also love the fact that it's got the exact same feel and atmosphere as the PlayStation 1 games, something that I personally thought wouldn't be possible due to the 2D plane, as opposed to the 3D plane that we're used to. Overall, I'm very pleased with this game. I feel it tries a lot of bold moves with the Game Boy Advance's hardware, using it to its full ability, and also doesn't disappoint a single Crash Bandicoot fan. Anyone who loved Crash Bandicoot 1, 2 and 3 should definitely add this to their collection. So, until next time, goodbye, good luck, and good gaming.